welcome to Sifting for Soul. I'm Brandon. If you're new here, I'm an engineer by profession, but I use photography as one of many tools to help me expand my perspective and evolve into a better human. I don't have the patience for the thousands of years actual evolution requires to change, so I do this instead. You seem a little stressed, like you take yourself or other people too seriously. So in this episode, I'm going to take you with me to the French Riviera for some winter warmth, photography, and mood management. Let's get it. Which matters more? Is it the journey or the destination? If you fall into the journey camp, you might be focused on experiences, the colors, the taste, the textures, the sounds, the conversations, the exchanges, the meaningful moments with people. You might be interested in understanding what's happening around you, not necessarily fussed about the location. Really just sort of focused on the moment. No particular place to go, and maybe that's fine with you. But if you're focused on the moment, that could be at the expense of momentum. On the flip side, if you're focused on the destination, then the moment's not so important to you. Who you're talking to, or what you're doing, or what's going on around you, it's really just sort of noise and distraction. Almost an inhibition to getting to what you really care about, the destination. I phrase the question implying that these are mutually exclusive categories and that you have to pick one. In reality, we're on a continuum. Like many things, most people do things in moderation, and there's room for both. Sometimes, I'll speak for myself, sometimes I'm focused on the journey and I'm really paying attention to the moment, and I may never get where I thought I was going as a destination because I'm really just sort of enjoying the moment, and that's been worth it to me. I don't even regret it. I don't even regret it at all. That happened to me recently in Rome. I was planning to go to the Colosseum and never ended up there for lots of reasons, which I'll go into in a future vlog. But I went around the Colosseum, but never actually went into the Colosseum. That's completely fine with me. In other cases, I've been hyper-focused on the destination, and so focused on the destination that I'm like, undergrad was like that for me. In undergrad, I was focused on completing my undergraduate degree. Once I completed my undergraduate degree, I knew that my life would change, my marketability would change, my resources would change, that everything would change. And the most important thing about that was the destination, the objective, and that was my single focus. And that was at the expense of friends and really experiencing the undergrad experience. And that was fine with me. But now I realize I kind of missed out on some things. That people, experiences, meaningful exchanges, these are important things. You can't have it all. You can't, you just can't. Well, again, I'll speak for myself. I can't have it all. But I can be balanced, and I can realize that sometimes when I'm focused too much on one thing, I'm going to completely overlook the value of the other thing. I'm super focused. If you haven't figured that out about me yet, I'm super focused. This is an asset at my job. And my job, it's a very technical job, and I need to really zero in on the valuable thing because there just isn't enough time. There isn't enough time to do all the things that are important. So figuring out what the most important thing is and stay relentlessly focused on that, and being adaptable to change to figure out if the most important thing, the list of most important things, if that has changed, being adaptable. That's part of my value with my job. But in my relationships, that's quite painful. sometimes people want to have a conversation. They want to express how they feel, and staying focused on the point, it doesn't always go very well. In any case, figuring out how to have enough room for both the journey and the destination is kind of where we pick up in this vlog.
If you've been following along, then you know, and it's not required that you follow along, but I'd appreciate the encouragement. But if you have been following along, then you know I've been struggling with depression. So with that in mind, you might be wondering, how did you end up in Nice? I can't claim any credit for that. I did literally nothing to make that happen other than to say to Masha, I want to go somewhere. I want to see something else. I just want to think about something other than being stuck in my own head. And she organized the trip such that all I had to do was show up at the airport with my passport and get on an airplane. Then Nice happened. As I'm disclosing things, I also didn't know that Nice was on the French Riviera. Moreover, I didn't know what the French Riviera was. I thought basically it was just a place that rich people went to do rich people stuff. I don't even know what rich people stuff is, but I assume that's where they went to do that sort of stuff. And so it wasn't really a place that appealed to me, but as you can see from the hotel balcony, it was just beautiful. We stayed at Le Meridien, and on the left, you can see going into sort of the old markets in the town of Nice. And on the right was the Mediterranean, it was the sea, it was just beautiful. And the sunsets every night were beautiful, beautiful magenta and pink. And it also had tons of lighthouses. I love to shoot lighthouses. And so while I went neither journey nor destination, maybe you could consider that destination, I needed to get away. But really it was sort of anti-destination. I didn't want to be here anymore. I didn't want to feel whatever I was feeling anymore. So I went to Nice, and then I got some destinations, got some lighthouses, and that became quite a destination. So all along the coastline, there's beautiful harbors all along the French Riviera, and there's beautiful coastline. And then along the coastlines, there's tons of lighthouses to shoot, and so that became a destination. And I got a really great night shot of the lighthouse. I think the first night I saw it, and I was like, I have to get this thing. And so
for the first one, I walked really close, pretty much as close as you could get to the lighthouse before we hit the fence barrier, and we were able to take a shot. I used my 24-70. I had to get that close because of the limits of the focal range of that. Note the ISO is 400, not the 100 I almost always insist on using. If you also noted that the shutter speed was 360 seconds, that's an awfully long time to wait in the freezing cold. Still, I wasn't quite pleased with the composition, so I went back to the hotel to grab my 100-400, and I captured this. It's not as sharp as my 24-70, but it gave me a few more options with the composition, and I'm pretty pleased with it. I played with the settings a little bit. I wanted a faster shutter speed and lower ISO noise, so I widened my aperture a little bit. And the 200 millimeters from the angle I was shooting allowed me to put more light in the scene just with composition. So I'm pretty pleased with how this worked out. I sort of rushed past that, so please ask me in the comments if you have a question or need clarification on anything. Having achieved one destination of a night shot of the lighthouse, I set out to get a few more. I went to the harbors to capture the boats. I scouted out a few more daytime views of lighthouses. And then lastly, I had one final destination of Parc Chateau, which provided a beautiful view of the harbor. It was on my way to this destination that I realized the reminder of the importance of the journey.
We're in the beautiful, beautiful French Riviera in Nice. Everything looks nice because that's the way it's spelled, and my English brain translates it into nice. And so we're walking around the harbor and noticing everything is so nice here. Not meaning to be a play on the word, but my brain actually does that translation. And while we're looking around for some of the beautiful things to take photos of, the things that catch my eye are often quite simple. They're often simple photography constructs. So if you'll notice behind me, I have beautiful leading lines with the sun peeking through the trees. And I love shooting stuff like this. I love the leading lines. I love the high contrast of the shot because you've got the really bright sun And then you've got the shadow, and then you've got like bright steps leading up into the shadow. Really love shooting stuff like this. So there's really nothing quite complicated about this. I use sort of my landscapey technique here. So I'm going to use a tripod because I want it to be as sharp as possible. I'm going to use a pretty narrow aperture. The sun is back there, and I really want to try to get the sun to sunburst through the trees. So I want to get like the twinkly lights, just like I do on night lights. And so I'm going to use something f13 or above, probably like f16, f22. I'm on a tripod, so I'm not really worried about movement. If it was windy, then I have to worry about the trees moving and getting blurry, but it's not very windy out. It's not windy at all, and plus we're tucked into this mountain here, so we're fine. And then I'm gonna also HDR it. I HDR it because I wanna get as much detail out of the shadows as possible. I expect to have a pretty high shutter speed, so I'm not worried about any motion blur from like like if there was any movement, I'm not worried about any motion blur because I'm gonna use a pretty fast shutter speed. And then we'll give a couple different looks on it. I'm definitely gonna shoot it in portrait mode because it's nice and tall with the trees at the top and the steps at the bottom, leading you right up into the scene. And so let's see what we can get. We'll try a couple different looks, and then I'll show you the editing and see what you think. I'll also show you some other shots from around Nice. If you have never been, I highly recommend you change that. I'm not in the business of telling people what to do, but do it.
This image has got to be one of my favorites of the entire trip. I especially love the specks around the sun and being able to tease out the shadow in the stairs. Just really love this image. I didn't see the specks around the sun initially until quite a few shots in, and then I realized my polarizer was filthy. True story. When I was a kid, I wore glasses. My glasses were always filthy and I could never see it, so this was a total flashback. For this next image, which is also one of my favorites, the cloud cover separated a little bit to allow a bit more of the sun to come out and allow the sun rays to peek around the trees. I used HDR again so I could recover the shadows within the stairs and also not lose my highlights. But HDR also allowed me to get some detail in a tree branch even though there's high contrast and backlighting by the sun. I really like this image and find it quite compelling, but I also was surprised by how much I like the first image. The shot I'll leave you with is from Park Chateau. It was the destination going up the stairs that you just saw. I think it was Dorothea Lange who noted, "It's easy to take pictures of beautiful things." And the Park Chateau is clearly designed to be beautiful. It overlooks the French Riviera. That's definitely going to be beautiful. The journey up there, the piece that resonates with me, I don't think that was actually meant to be beautiful. I think it was incidental that those stairs and the sun shining through were beautiful, but I noticed it. It's important to notice the journey as well as the destination. Sometimes one will resonate more than the other. Which one's resonating with you? Or is it both? Are you better than I am at keeping your eyes open? Let me know in the comments which one resonates more with you and why. And don't forget to share if you know somebody who you think might benefit from this, or if you just want to make fun of the picture of me when I was a kid. Like if you enjoyed it, if this was useful to you and helped you think about things differently. And subscribe if you want more stuff like this.